Welcome to my views and news. Monday's first video. Firstly, two news stories from Shire, Tigray city. New pictures are being shared, which are reportedly from yesterday, showing the presence of Eritrean military in Shire. Secondly, Zemene Kassie Fano commander was arrested more than 2 months ago from Bahirdar. It seems that he is becoming a hard pill to swallow for the government because on daily basis we are hearing calls for people to go to the prison, to the court where he is taken to. And since last night we have been hearing calls that all Amhara youth should go to Saptami prison in Bahirda, that federal forces are trying to abduct Zemene Kassie. Thirdly, an Oromo businessman, Ethiopian businessman from the US, an American citizen who was arrested at Bole airport last week, has been released. Why was he arrested? And lastly, Lasanod Somaliland, where Reuters says 20 were killed in this recent bout of violence. What is the latest in Lasanood? Is there calm or still there are tensions in Lasanood? Firstly, viewers, Shire. Withdrawal of Eritrean military from Tigray. Tigray regional government is largely silent, though Getachew yesterday in New Year's message spoke about the need for withdrawal of Eritrean military and Amhara forces from Tigray. He said that he hoped that in the next year 2023, Tigray would be free from Eritrean military and the junior partners, Amhara forces. It means that indirectly, Getachew confirmed yesterday as well that Eritrean military had not withdrawn completely from Tigray, and that is what seems to be case on the ground. Reality on the ground is that Eritrean military is still in parts of Tigray. We have received some pictures from Shire. The pictures are from yesterday, not old pictures, reportedly. And the pictures show some Eritrean soldiers or some soldiers clad in military uniform worn by Eritrean soldiers. You can see one picture on your screen. It is from yesterday, reportedly. The picture was taken in Shire. It shows some soldiers who look like Eritrean soldiers. It means that still Eritrean military is in parts of Tigray. It is withdrawing, but withdrawing for weeks. But Tigray is not completely free from Eritrean military so far. That is what is being reported by locals as well from the ground. Yes, the presence could be small in Shire. There could be small presence or near big cities. There could be small presence, but presence is there of Eritrean military in Tigray so far. Secondly, another city of Tigray now is connected through Ethiopian Airlines. We know that Ethiopian Airlines it resumed flights to Mekelle, to and from Mekelle on Thursday. And today, first flight from Addis Ababa left for Shire. You can see a picture on your screen. Ethiopian Airlines has resumed flights for Shire as well. So one flight a day. So now two Tigray cities are connected to Addis Ababa by Ethiopian Airlines. Why is that no by-road travel, by-road transport to and from Tigray is being allowed? What is the reason? Economic activity still not resuming between Tigray and neighboring regions. Just air travel. Who can afford air travel? Obviously, not lots of Ethiopians. transport link between Tigray and neighboring regions should be opened and restored, which has not happened so far reportedly. Secondly, Zemene Kassie is becoming a hard pill to swallow for Amhara regional government, Ethiopian federal government. He's in prison, but when he's taken to courts, people try to protect him. They try to report at the places. They try to protest at the places where he's taken. They gather in front of courts too. And since last time we have been hearing calls for the people to go to Saptami prison in Bahir Dar, that federal forces wanted to abduct Zemene Kassie and people should go to the prison. And that is why we are hearing from Bahir Dar that people are gathering in the vicinity of this prison where Zemene Kassie is. There are fears, two types of fears. That firstly, Zemene Kassie could be killed in some encounter, in some incident. Secondly, it is being feared that Zemene Kassie could be taken from this prison out of Amhara region. They could be shifted to a place outside Amhara region. That is why people are being mobilized. So while federal and regional governments are trying to dismantle Fano, still Fano supporters are resisting. They want release of Zemene Kassie. We saw a protest for his release a few days ago in North Shiva zone. It will be difficult for Ethiopian federal government, Amharian government, to continue the detention of Zemene Kassie. Thirdly, viewers, 2 days ago, an Ethiopian-American businessman from Oromia was arrested at Bole airport. Tashita Tufa entered Ethiopia a few days ago. He wanted to visit his sick mother and his aunt. When he was returning, he was arrested at Bole airport. And he works at Metropolitan Transport Network in Minnesota, I think. We saw that diplomatic efforts were started for his release. Ethiopian embassy in the US, American embassy in Addis Ababa, they were contacted by his family members. And we saw a social media campaign as well for the release of Tashita Tufa. His family released a statement confirming his arrest. Now he has been released. Last night he was released, but why was he arrested? Government is silent. No statement from the government. Who was he supporting? Did he commit any crime? Why was he arrested? Around 48 hours he remained in detention, but no statement from the government so far. Reportedly, he has been released. Lastly, viewers, Lasanood Somaliland, where Reuters says 20 were killed in the recent clash between locals and Somaliland security forces. Somaliland's parliament speaker confirmed 8 casualties. Reuters says 20 were killed and 70 were injured. People have been rejecting Somaliland's government for years in Lasanood. Portland and Somaliland have their claims to this city. And yesterday we received some reports about fighting between Portland forces and Somaliland, but we could not confirm those reports. Tensions were there in the city. Electricity, internet were cut off, and demonstrations were underway. People were waving Somalia's flag. Somaliland is self-declared country. In Somaliland, people generally are not allowed to wave Somalia's flag. But in Lasanood, we saw people chanting slogans against Somaliland's government, waving Somalia's flag. And Somalia's ministers spoke condemning civilian killings in Lasanood. The US embassy also issued a statement calling for calm and protection of civilians. But civilians, several have lost their lives. 8 confirmed by the government sources. 20 more say that around 20 civilians were killed in this episode of violence. Not the first one, because for years we have been seeing such incidents of instability in Lasanood. Somaliland's government takes pride in being a democratic, a truly democratic government. But you see what is happening there, that Musibe Abdi was granted a term extension, not a term, around more than a year term extension, and elections were postponed. And now in Lasanood, more than a dozen civilians was killed, and no accountability so far. Government largely silent. What happened there? Who is responsible for the death of these around 20 civilians who died in clashes in Lasanood? No one will be held accountable, it seems. There is relative calm in Lasanood today. An hour ago, we received information from there that there is no fighting. There are tensions obviously persisting. Today is day 7 of the start of this tension in Lasanood. Puntland has been holding some high-level meetings. Dini, Puntland president, we could not confirm direct fight between Puntland forces and Somaliland, but it could happen if this conflict in Lasanood goes on. We could see intervention from Puntland in Lasanood in Sul region of Somaliland. Thank you for watching.